So, hello, welcome. Today we're joined by Ernestas Poškus, who is on the search engineering team at Vinted. So, Ernestas, thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so why don't you tell us a little bit about Vinted and what your role is there?
So, Vinted was born in Lithuania and is now thriving across Europe. Vinted is about buying and selling pre-loved clothing, but not only. And it's about sustainability, about community and future of the circular fashion. So a short intro about it. Primarily me, I'm working as an engineering manager at Vinted, and I'm engineering manager of a search platform where we build search services for the whole company built on top of Vespa.
Great. Yeah. And so you've been a Vespa customer since around 2022. And, just from, looking at Vespa, kind of what led to you looking into Vespa and becoming a Vespa customer?
So mainly we had, before we using Vespa, we were using Elasticsearch and it had scalability issues. So we were looking for a long-term scalable search technology, and we wanted to overcome and have a hybrid search. Combining vector search and text retrieval efficiently was challenging in Elasticsearch. At that time was almost not possible, and query latency at scale and maintaining low latency queries under high traffic was also complicated. So this led us to Vespa.
Yeah. And so we talk about query latency just for everyone who might be listening. That's really about the speed in which you perform a search and get the results back, right?
Yeah, totally. So at Vinted we measure average and P99 latencies, and those are critical, especially in cases of real-time search suggestions that we provide for the users, as well as recommendation systems and other parts of services.
Okay, yeah, and that's something I've definitely noticed when looking at different solutions, whether they're search solutions, vector databases, things like that. I think latency, depending on the scale of your data, it might be easier to achieve if you have a small amount of data. But if you have a large amount of data and you have a lot of people interacting with that data, that's where it becomes critical and more difficult, I think, for systems to be able to achieve that. So can you share a little bit about what you've been able to accomplish with that migration?
Of course, I can share it. Recently, we have reached a milestone of 1 billion items that we search on. So this is a challenge on its own. But we managed to move away from Elasticsearch, and it was actually a win-win on every aspect. Infrastructure costs were reduced by 2 times, and performance was improved by about 2.5 times just by moving Elasticsearch from Vespa. Just from moving from Elasticsearch to Vespa.
Oh, great. Yeah, those are awesome results. And so there really are two sides, right? There's the kind of the back-end experience of what you're trying to deliver. You're trying to deliver real-time recommendation, search, and all of that. And on the other side, for customers, it's giving you that better experience. Have you gotten any feedback from customers about the experience? Have they noticed a change as well?
For users, it was a seamless change. They did not know that they're using Elasticsearch, the underneath search engine, and now suddenly it's Vespa. But the value they got was actually search results improved, and relevancy essentially also improved just by dropping in Vespa.
Mm-hmm.
That was mainly due to deeper ranking that we could get out of it.
Okay. Can you explore the ranking side a little bit more? What do you mean by that?
So with our setup of Elasticsearch, we had multiple limitations, and we had to cut off results at our experimented threshold that was giving satisfiable results, but also at a more or less acceptable latency. And with Vespa, there was no such problem because it was out of the box very fast, but we had but it was not like a simple drop-in replacement, because we had to adapt and iterate multiple times, and we performed, I think, like half a dozen experiments, multiple A/B tests. So that was an interesting learning experience. We had a lot of tacit knowledge of running Elasticsearch in production, and haven't had any with Vespa, so we had to learn along the way.
About how long did that take for you to migrate from Elasticsearch to Vespa?
So initially we started, I think in April. In September we were already running A/B tests, and in November we actually were scaled our querying functionality to production.
Now, the migration took a few months. You had some learnings. What would be some other takeaways that you would share with somebody who's, either in the migration phase or considering migrating from Elasticsearch to Vespa?
Key strengths of Vespa is hybrid search. It's like when you combine text search and vector search, and you can do this in one place in a structured manner using phases. Phases in Vespa are those layers where you filter, then you have a first phase where you apply the business logic and so on, and then you have second phase, and then you have a global phase. And in those phases, you can refine your results as you need, as the product demands, and adjust the results for more and create more value for the users.
Yeah. And you did mention an improvement in query latency. And did you see an improvement in indexing latency as well?
Yes, so this rarely happens when you move from one technology to another, and then on all fronts you have wins. So with indexing, we also improved indexing latency from about 5 minutes to 5 seconds. In Elasticsearch, 5 minutes is a refresh interval, and Vespa does not have any refresh interval. Essentially, the data becomes available as soon as you index it. So you can actually build real-time features on top of Vespa. So this leads to a better user experience and also a big win for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. So thinking through some of the product insights, what would you say is, maybe the most impactful feature from Vespa that you've seen or that you've used?
So we are just, I would say, beginning to use it at a full capacity and all the capabilities that it provides. But at the moment, we are building dense retrieval functionalities, also enabling internal image search use cases, and building more personalized search suggestions. And this is all thanks to Vespa and ability to use a vector search on scale. And the way the whole system operates, it allows you to experiment faster and keep the cost at bay, as well as have like blazing fast performance.
I know that Vinted is now available in most of Europe. So do you see that your platform can scale to more parts of the world?
Definitely. I don't think that I can disclose all the next plans of our ambitions to dominate the world. But yes, using Vespa, it allows you to scale and set up different regions, connect data centers into one cohesive system, and provide the same value to the users as in any other region that we have.
Awesome. Now, again, like thinking about scaling and growing and improving the experience, how does your team work with the product team, or how are you identifying new improvements and features to implement for your customers?
So mainly we like building on top of team topologies book and a way of thinking. We're like a classic platform team which provide services for stream-aligned product teams. And the way we interact and work with each other is through meetings and quarterly objectives of a company. So we sometimes provide solution engineering, and then trying to onboard new engineers on some pending issues or problems that they have, and try to work around them into scalable, well-tested features that we can provide for the users.
So you've talked a little bit about some of those improvements that you've seen, like query latency. You've seen improvements in indexing latency, relevance, and kind of, the search engagement and personalization. And what comes along with those improvements, a lot of things, other things that we always try to make sure we're improving as well is cost. Have you been able to reduce operational costs? What ways have you been able to do that?
Yeah, so mainly we reduced the amount of servers that we use about in half while improving performance substantially. When you run on bare metal, this is important because racks have limited physical space and data centers have limited space. So we can kind of have more servers for other use cases and other services that Vinted provides. Also, one of the biggest impact compared to running Vespa to Elasticsearch was with Elasticsearch you have a lot of unpredictability in terms of how your shards, replicas and indices of Elasticsearch gets allocated to machines, and sometimes you get those hot node problems, and whenever the node is hot, it usually drags the whole performance of like index search downwards. This was like a mundane and maintenance heavy operation that you sometimes had to manually reshard or relocate those hot nodes. With Vespa, it's no longer the case, and we actually don't even have to care about the way how the data gets allocated because of the Vespa crush algorithm, which tries to allocate all the data in a perfect balance, and then you are not the one who cares about it. So it reduced a lot of maintenance, and then the team can focus on creating more value for product teams and building other features.
Yeah, and I'm sure for you and your team that was exciting to not have to go through all of that manual process anymore.
Totally.
Okay, well, I want to start looking ahead a little bit because you mentioned you're on bare metal. I know you obviously are looking forward to the cloud. What are some of those features that you're looking forward to using? I know you're using Vespa now for search, suggestions, your help center search. What are some other things that you're looking to improve?
So one thing we are very eager about is scaling image search to our users. We use it internally to power our own customer service operations and other things. I guess the most useful thing would be like essentially image search for users. Then more advanced recommendation systems and subsequent iterations and refactoring still all the ranking models and actually running them inside of Vespa because it allows you to do so.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. Awesome. Well, Ernestas, I mean, you've talked a lot about the work that you've been doing at Vinted with Vespa, talked a lot about Vespa. So I do want to, close by maybe asking you a few questions. I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions about you. I did not prepare you for this, but we'll see how this goes. Um, so do you have a book or a movie that you would recommend?
So I guess I would recommend a book that I have recently read is Wordly Maps. It's a book about mapping, making a map essentially of service product you provide. And in the search platform team, we are kind of providing and helping out many teams. I need to wrap my head around how does it fit around the whole organization.
Well, Ernestas, again, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you share your story today.
Likewise, thank you for having me.